school when someone shouts out the name of our protagonist, informing him that his awakening value is 0. Our protagonist, Ye Bei, who was placing his hand on the device, is left stunned. A classmate comments that, with a 0 awakening value, Ye Bei must be someone abandoned by God. Another classmate remarks on his misfortune, questioning why Ye Bei, someone discarded by divinity, would appear in their King City 3rd High School. His teacher, Dean, informs him that his awakening value is 0, and on his day of awakening, he is doomed to be unable to awaken. The dean also advises that, for the school's reputation and current students, Ye Bei should drop out. This shocks Ye Bei, who questions why he should leave, insisting that the government has not set a rule dictating that students with low awakening values must drop out. Suddenly, someone throws a rock at his head. He looks back and asks who did it. The offender mocks him and orders him to leave their school. Another student warns that Ye Bei will only bring bad luck, potentially causing even the gods to detest and abandon them. His classmates join in the mockery, urging him to leave. Suddenly, Lai Yao steps in, shouting, "Enough." She implores them to stop their behavior, questioning how they can be so heartless towards Ye Bei, who has been with them for 3 years. A blue-haired student warns Lai Yao not to associate with Ye Bei, labeling him a pariah abandoned by the gods. He cautions her that she might also be abandoned by the gods and might not be able to awaken. Lai Yao moves close to Ye Bei, causing him to blush, and urges him not to give up. She suggests that there might be an error in the device. Furthermore, she argues that even if there's no error, it doesn't mean he's unable to awaken. She explains that a low or high awakening value only serves as a reference. Lai Yao reminds him that in history, there are many examples of people with high awakening values who failed to awaken, while some with low awakening values have received God's blessing. Ye Bei agrees but points out that awakening value, belief, and talent are deeply intertwined. He admits he doesn't trust those gods. He reflects on the events of 3,000 years ago when powerful and unknown monsters suddenly appeared around the world. Even though humans used nuclear weapons, they couldn't eradicate them. The strong nuclear radiation only made them mutate more, becoming even stronger. From among these monsters, 4 Beast Kings emerged. Under the Beast King's lead, human territory was rapidly seized. As civilization teetered on the brink of extinction, 2 god statues descended from the sky. Humans began to obtain God's blessing and develop superhuman abilities by praying to the god statues. The higher the awakening value, the higher the chance of gaining God's blessing during the awakening day, becoming an Awakener. Those with a low awakening value, on the other hand, are usually unable to awaken, and thus remain ordinary humans. Anyone with an awakening value of 10 or less is considered forsaken by God, earning their contempt and hate. Ye Bei sighs, reflecting on how, after 3,000 years, everyone relies on the power of the gods except for him. He opens his system to check Lai Yao's information. Even though he can't awaken, he realizes that having this unknown system might be a blessing in disguise. He sees Lai Yao's status, noting that her level is insufficient authority, and her rating is smart with great wisdom. She specializes in deduction and can identify the truth from minor evidence. Therefore, it is unwise to lie in front of her. Ye Bei, who has been transmigrated with a system, embarks on his path to become the strongest, leveling up by grinding and killing monsters. He scoffs at his classmates, labeling them as fools. He anticipates the main awakening day, which is approximately 100 days away, and promises them a shocking surprise. He reassures himself that he doesn't need a god's blessing because he can also become strong. He then opens his status window, which shows that his profession is a student and all his stats are at 1. Ye Bei understands that one has to work hard and cultivate to become stronger. Those with weaker talent will get stuck at a stage where they can never reach higher levels. For him, however, he only needs to slay monsters, gaining experience to improve his combat abilities easily. He resolves to start grinding from this day forward. He points to the ground, declaring that his grinding path will begin with the ant he's pointing at. The ant appears confused. Later, while observing the ant, the system informs him that small ants don't merit a level. Another system notification appears, stating that he has killed an ant and gained only 0.01 experience. The system suggests that he should employ a more effective level-up method, as killing one by one is indeed time-consuming. Fortunately, he always keeps insecticide handy. He begins his ant-killing spree, accumulating experience. As he sprays the ants, he tells them to fear the terror of being dominated by humans, unaware that someone is watching from behind. While he's spraying the ants and laughing maniacally, a boy asks his grandfather why Ye Bei is playing with ants and speculates that the ants must be terrified. The grandfather advises his grandson to be a good boy and not to emulate Ye Bei. Suddenly, a system notification appears, informing him that he has killed 100 ants and activated a hidden mission. The mission, named Ant's Public Enemy, requires him to kill 10,000 ants within 24 hours. The reward is a skill book called the Ant's Great Strength. Confidently, he accepts the mission and warns the ants of his impending onslaught. An hour later, he agrees with the system's assessment that killing ants to grind levels is not only time-consuming but also tiring. A notification appears, congratulating him on leveling up and gaining 2 attribute points. He ponders over his status, deciding on where to allocate the points. Since the mission reward is the Ant's Great Strength, he thinks it's best to increase his strength. He adds his points to strength, and a light radiates from his body. He feels full of energy and proceeds to exterminate more ants, stating that he now has more energy to continue. Meanwhile, the old man warns his grandson to stay away from people like Ye Bei. The system informs Ye Bei that he has killed 10,000 ants and completed his mission. Surprised, he is excited to see his new title. He reads the title Ant's Public Enemy, which, when any ant species detects the player's scent, they will become angry and attack. When facing the ant race, this title reduces the enemy's combat ability by 50%. Furthermore, the skill the Ant's Great Strength increases strength by 10 times for a duration of 3 minutes with a cooldown period of 2 hours. Ecstatic, he realizes that this skill could give him overwhelming power if he encounters an enemy as strong as he is. About to tap on the interface, he declares that his efforts were not wasted. A light blinds him as he taps the interface. He questions if it's done. Wanting to test out his new power, he faces a tree, activates the Ant's Great Strength, and delivers a powerful punch. The force sends the tree's body flying. Left speechless, he looks at his hand, musing that even Mike Tyson would not be able to defend against such a punch. The next day at school, someone throws a rock at him. As it's about to hit him, he catches the rock from behind. The guy smirks and tells him that Ye Bei didn't get hit, guessing that Ye Bei still has some luck. Despite this, he declares that Ye Bei is abandoned by the gods and orders him to get lost, threatening to throw him outside. The guy warns Ye Bei that the next stone won't miss and shouts at him, asking if he's not leaving yet. Ye Bei lifts up the rock and crushes it with his hand, surprising the group. He puts down his bag and jumps towards them, punching the guy in the stomach. The guy shouts in pain and falls to his knees, shaking with disbelief at what happened. He had said that Ye Bei was someone abandoned by God, but he can't understand how Ye Bei has such strength. Ye Bei tells him he went easy on him this time and warns them to remember that. Ye Bei looks forward and declares that firstly, he will become an Awakener, and secondly, if they dare provoke him again, he won't go easy on them next time. He challenges any unhappy onlookers to step forward. The group starts running while Ye Bei picks up his bag. He mocks them as a bunch of chickens while someone watches him from above. Lai Yao can't believe that Ye Bei has such strength even before awakening. Later, in King City High School, Ye Bei listens to his teacher. The teacher warns them about a faceless man appearing in King City, urging them to be extremely careful and cautious until the situation is resolved by the law enforcement team. The teacher advises them not to move alone. He explains that the faceless man is a D-rank creature known as such because it lacks facial features. This creature is tall, large-bodied, filled with cement-like substances, and extremely tough. He also thinks when someone encounters the faceless man, never look at the faceless man's face, otherwise it will relentlessly pursue, and the teacher tells them despite the faceless man's strength, its movements are slow. If anyone encounters it, they should contact the law enforcement team right away. The teacher asks if they understand, to which the students agree. Ye Bei reflects on how the world is becoming more dangerous, and he needs to increase his strength quickly as small gains no longer meet his requirements. The night arrives at Ye Bei's house. He swiftly kills 5 chickens with a knife, gaining multiple experiences. Holding the dead chickens, he realizes that killing white chickens provides him with more experience, but he can't afford to buy many chickens. A system notification appears, stating that he has killed creatures with combat abilities, activating space inventory, a system store, and a gold trade system with a trade ratio of 1:100. Ye Bei concludes that he must kill a creature with combat ability to activate the system's hidden functions. He instructs the system to exchange gold for money, and the system complies. Looking at his money, he thinks that killing higher combat ability creatures will bring him more experience and money, and the gold can be exchanged for real currency. As he expected, the correct way to utilize the system is to kill stronger enemies. Confidently, he declares that with money, he can kill more white chickens, taking another step towards becoming stronger. Later, at the market, he confidently confidently tells the chicken seller that he wants to buy all the chickens. The seller looks at him, confused. After buying the chickens, Ye Bei finds a deserted alley and begins slaughtering them. System notifications pop up, stating that he killed a white chicken and gained experience. The system congratulates him on leveling up, and he gains 2 undistributed points. He smiles at the experience he gains but notes that the experience from killing chickens is not as high anymore. Suddenly, he hears footsteps behind him. Turning around, knife in hand, he asks who's there. A little girl peeks from the side, starts crying, and runs away, calling for her mother and claiming there's a pervert. Ye Bei was confused. Then the girl's mother arrives, furiously asking which person dares to bully her daughter. Ye Bei tries to explain it's all a misunderstanding, but the girl mother looks at him furiously and starts hitting him with a broom, refusing to listen to his explanation. Later, he was left beaten on the ground, saying it's all misunderstanding. After the ordeal, Ye Bei concludes that his method of leveling up by killing chickens is becoming too slow, and he needs to find another, faster way. Suddenly, he overhears a conversation about people quitting Lao Kaien's slaughterhouse. The men discuss that a butcher twisted his hand, and Lao Kaien's business is booming. But there are few workers now, making Lao Kaien very busy. Ye Bei hadn't considered the slaughterhouse before and approaches the men, holding his knife, to ask a question. The men, frightened by his appearance, start running away, yelling about a ghost. Frustrated, Ye Bei insists that it was just a misunderstanding and that he just wants to ask about the slaughterhouse and whether they need more workers. Later at the slaughterhouse, he applies for a job and submits his CV. He informs the boss that he heard his butcher quit after a hand injury. The boss reviews his CV and tells Ye Bei that his business is a small one. However, Ye Bei assures the boss that he doesn't want any salary, just to propose a mutually beneficial business deal. At the mention of a profitable business, the boss's eyes light up. Ye Bei tells the boss that he wants to purchase a large number of chickens, ducks, and cows to prepare for his awakening, emphasizing that it's to gain nutrients. The boss, perplexed, asks how much he can eat alone. Ye Bei assures him that he has many classmates and promises that he won't shortchange the boss. He also adds a request. The boss asks what kind of request. He tells the boss he wants to train at the slaughterhouse. Later, he's found gaining experience by slaughtering chickens. The experience is gratifying, as he believes this is the best way to level up. He surmises that larger animals would provide even more experience. Upon noticing a cow, he reassures it not to blame him, as it's his duty to kill them, and by doing so, he can level up. The nervous cow attempts to escape, causing surprise in Ye Bei, who reminds it that no matter what, it cannot escape him. He chases the cow, urging it to stop running and struggling. The cow opens the door and was surprised and immediately stops. Once the cow encounters a high wall, Ye Bei tells it that it can't run now. He swiftly moves past the cow and kills it in an instant. Upon the cow's collapse, he mocks it for daring to stop his slaughter. He laughs, exhilarated by the experience. The system displays that he gained plus 30 experience from killing the cow and collected the cow's information. He anticipates leveling up faster by killing stronger opponents. The cow's information is as follows: Level 5, Combat Ability 30, Rating, Kind Personality, Prone to Irritation when provoked. The boss is surprised at how quickly Ye Bei adapted to the work, almost as if he was born to be a butcher. Suddenly, a loud growl is heard. He asks the boss about the source of the intimidating sound. The boss replies that it's a ferocious, single-eyed wolf. Ye Bei is ecstatic, having never seen such a beast before, and asks the boss to take him to it. The boss obliges and they proceed to see the one-eyed wolf. Ye Bei sees the wolf's information, Level 10, Combat Ability 120. Despite being badly injured, the wolf exudes a frightening strength. The single-eyed wolf rating is that it runs fast, moves in groups, and has strong teamwork. The system warns him that he would become prey with his current combat ability. The boss inquires if he is scared and mentions that a relative had caught the wolf. The wolf's meat is rich in nutrients and sells for a high price. Ye Bei thinks about buying the wolf to level up. He tells the boss about a student who wants the single-eyed wolf for the awakening day in 3 months, then inquires about the price. The boss informs him that such high-grade goods cost at least 50,000. He is taken aback by the price as he doesn't have that much money, but he calculates that killing the single-eyed wolf will provide enough money. He contemplates why he shouldn't kill the wolf immediately. He proposes to the boss that he should kill it, given its strength. The boss warns him against such a risky endeavor, reminding him of the wolf's ferocious nature. He unveils his knife and reassures the boss, explaining that he has prepared for such an event. He regards the knife as his trump card, which the system identifies as a sharp pig killer sword with an attack power of plus 10. He leaps forward, confident he can kill it and level up. The shackled wolf lunges forward too but is restrained. As he comes face to face with the wolf, he activates his ant's great strength. The boss warns him to be careful, but he stabs the wolf in the stomach. As the wolf collapses, he too falls to the ground. He addresses the boss, saying that he appears quite brave. His boss praised him for killing the single-eyed wolf, even though it was injured. He managed to kill it with a small knife. His boss also told him he was so brave that he was fit to be a butcher. From that point onwards, he would work part-time at the butcher's. A system notification then appeared, showing that he had leveled up and gained 3 undistributed attribute points. As he had expected from the ferocious beast, the reward was impressive, allowing him to level up twice. He also obtained a wolf's claw. The claw increased attack power by plus 50, but it required level 10 to use. At the moment, he was only at level 5. He thought he would be able to use it right away, but alas, there was a level requirement. His boss patted his shoulder while rubbing his fingers, telling him the single-eyed wolf would be his for the agreed price of 50,000. He asked him not to blame him because he had asked for it. He handed the money to his boss, asking him to notify him if he captured any ferocious beasts in the future. The boss smiled and told him it wouldn't be a problem. The next day, he was at King City 3rd High School, reflecting on yesterday's events. He brought back the entire single-eyed wolf, and his dinner that night would be splendid. His teacher told the class that day they would learn about 2 professions, martial artists and pharmacists. These professions existed to support Awakeners. Martial artists fought, and pharmacists healed wounds. He contemplated that the system store had excellent equipment, but he couldn't afford them yet. He was frustrated, thinking that money or experience didn't matter. He needed to kill many beasts to obtain the necessary resources, and the path of the butcher seemed to be the only one he could follow. Suddenly, someone tapped him from behind. He turned around to see Lai Yao asking why he wasn't taking notes. She thought it would be helpful for the awakened. He smiled and assured Lai Yao not to worry because he would definitely awaken. Lai Yao asked where his confidence came from. Suddenly, their teacher threw a piece of chalk that hit him in the forehead. The teacher angrily reprimanded them for chatting during class. Once class was dismissed, he left the room, while Lai Yao watched him from behind. Lai Yao was worried that Ye Bei was under a lot of stress. As a class representative, she felt compelled to help him. Outside, Lai Yao was hiding behind a street pole, watching Ye Bei. He looked quite happy, making her wonder if she had been overthinking things. Later, Ye Bei arrived at a slaughterhouse and knocked on the door. Lai Yao was curious about the place as it looked suspicious. She approached the door and pushed it open. She was so shocked by what she saw inside that she fainted. When she regained consciousness, she saw a figure looming over her. She squinted and noticed that the person was about to touch her chest, which shocked her. She slapped Ye Bei, calling him a pervert. Ye Bei collapsed on the ground, assuring Lai Yao that it was just him. When Lai Yao realized who it was, she was surprised and asked him what he was trying to do. He retorted that he should be the one asking her what she was trying to do. He had been slaughtering a pig when she suddenly fainted, even causing him to be stained with pig's blood. She looked inside and saw the dead pig. He shyly admitted that he didn't realize she was so squeamish that she would faint at the sight of blood. He said he had no choice but to press her chest in an attempt to revive her. Embarrassed, she covered her chest and told him to stop talking about it, while thinking who would know that he is killing a pig. She asked him why he was there killing a pig. Ye Bei explained that he had no other choice but to work as a part-time butcher. He then asked why Lai Yao was there. Stammering, she informed him that the next day's class had organized a student museum trip. He had never attended a class activity, so she insisted that he must attend this one. She thought to herself that she couldn't tell him that she was worried about him. Ye Bei considered that he had been in this world for quite a while and indeed needed to understand some history. He put his hand on his chest and promised Lai Yao that since she had personally invited him, he would definitely attend. She turned away and told him she had said what she needed to say and would now leave. But before leaving, she sternly warned him not to tell anyone about the day's events unless he wanted to face dire consequences. He agreed, and then she closed the door behind her. As she walked away, she abruptly stopped and sat down, embarrassed about the day's events. The next day on the bus, their teacher informed them they were heading to a museum to learn more about the origin of ferocious beasts and the story of the Awakeners. Ye Bei's classmate talked about how the Pope was the world's savior and the female martial goddess. He looked at Lai Yao, agreeing with his classmate. He asked Lai Yao if she was a fan of the female martial goddess. She confirmed that she was and mentioned her aspiration to become like her to get rid of ferocious beasts and protect humans. He then asked her if she knew a lot about the gods. She replied that she had read some books and knew that many places had traces of gods. They gave humans godly power to become awakeners and fight the ferocious beasts. He posed another question. Although countless god statues had landed and the 9 cities were so large, why didn't their city have one? She angrily replied, if you had read books before, you wouldn't ask such a brainless question. She explained that countless years have passed and, other than the 2 statues they found, they had discovered many other god statues. Apart from an unknown statue that didn't change, all the others had developed awakeners. She expressed her confusion about why their massive city, despite its size, had not uncovered anything related to gods, earning it the moniker God Abandoned Land. He was surprised by this revelation, finding it vastly different from his past life. He thought the situation was strange. Their teacher announced their arrival at the museum and instructed them to prepare to disembark. Inside the museum, they were told to maintain silence and proceed in an orderly manner. Lai Yao was ecstatic upon seeing the picture of the martial goddess. Ye Bei was surprised to see Lai Yao expressing such deep affection for someone. She explained that the martial goddess was unique because she and the Pope had coerced the 4 beast kings into signing an armistice, which she believed to be a miracle. As they admired the picture, someone approached from behind. Ye Bei, shocked, swiftly pulled Lai Yao aside, causing her to ask what he was doing and advising him to avoid actions that could be misinterpreted. He positioned her behind him, warning her to be cautious as the approaching figure gave him an ominous feeling. The robed figure halted in the center, startling their classmates as the tall figure remained immobile. The figure then removed the robe, revealing himself as the Faceless Man. Lai Yao was terrified, identifying him as the Faceless Man. The Faceless Man shouted angrily and lunged at Lai Yao. However, Ye Bei was quick to carry her away. He wondered aloud, didn't they say the Faceless Man doesn't have facial features? Isn't the mouth a facial feature? Panic ensued as their classmates fled, screaming. He set Lai Yao down in a safer spot, instructing her to help their teacher evacuate everyone while he stalled the Faceless Man. Lai Yao, worried, tried to tell him that he was no match for the Faceless Man. He reassured her not to worry, confident that he could handle the situation. Their teacher urged her to leave immediately, emphasizing that they had no time to waste. She attempted to inform the teacher about Ye Bei, but when she turned to look, he had already disappeared. Meanwhile, Ye Bei was charging towards the Faceless Man. He noticed the Faceless Man holding one of his classmates who was pleading for help. The Faceless Man noticed him and released his classmate. Ye Bei observed that the Faceless Man's system level was 7 and its rating suggested that anyone who saw its face would be pursued until death. Despite moving slowly and lacking intelligence, it possessed high defense and powerful strength. Ye Bei was confident in his superior combat abilities compared to the Faceless Man. He was not only faster but also had a special skill. He anticipated that dealing with the Faceless Man should not be too challenging. Swiftly, he jumped around the Faceless Man, landing behind it. He taunted the Faceless Man, hoping to lure it away so others could escape. The Faceless Man reacted with an angry shout and hurled a rock at him. Though surprised, he managed to evade the attack in time. Ye Bei was puzzled. Shouldn't a Faceless Man not have a brain? Why does it know how to launch long-range attacks? He observed the damaged wall, acknowledging the Faceless Man's destructive power. His cheeks reddened upon spotting a girl in the bathroom adjusting her shorts. She immediately labeled him a pervert. He averted his gaze, insisting that he didn't mean to look and now was not the time for such misunderstandings, while the girls ran off, cursing him. Noticing the Faceless Man preparing to throw another rock, he realized that he couldn't keep hiding his true power. As the Faceless Man launched the rock, he activated his aunt's great strength. He clenched his fist and punched, shattering the incoming rock. He gazes at the faceless figure as the shattered stone sweeps past him, hurling a fist toward the Faceless Man and commanding, "Eat his fist." His punch lands squarely on the Faceless Man, propelling it backwards with such force that it collides into the wall before crumpling to the ground. He studied the creature, wondering if it was dead. However, it soon rose, anger clear in its movements. Ye Bei had expected the Faceless Man to have a formidable defense. He figured he could only defeat it after breaking through this defense. He instructed his system to open the store, intending to purchase a weapon. The system displayed the available items in the store. Today's offerings included the Azure Sword, with an attack power of +50 and a selling price of 200 gold, and the Eternal Sword, with an attack power of +60, a selling price of 500 gold, and effects of tearing and bleeding. Both swords were rated as powerful and legendary weapons. With a confident smile, he noted that a weapon without a level requirement was exactly what he needed. Glancing around the empty museum, he decided not to worry about his secret being exposed. He instructed the system to purchase the Eternal Sword, and the system confirmed the transaction. He warned the Faceless Man of his impending doom, then prepared to use the Eternal Sword. With a swift attack, he struck the creature's chest, darting behind it. Seeing that its defense was broken, he used his aunt's great strength to deliver a powerful punch, shattering the Faceless Man's defense. He continued the assault, reducing the creature to pieces and spattering blood everywhere. Later, Lai Yao, accompanied by 2 men, arrived calling his name and asked about the Faceless Man. He replied, "It's scattered all over the exhibition hall." The system informs him that he has vanquished the Faceless Man, rewarding him with +350 experience points and +400 gold. In addition, he levels up, earning 5 undisputed points. Considering his advancement, he realizes that conventional animals will no longer suffice for accruing more experience. One of the two men inquires whether he defeated the faceless man single-handedly and without any weapons. He responds, stating that the task wasn't particularly difficult. The bald man suggests an investigation of the scene and advises him to return to school. As he strolls past the bald man, he waves goodbye. The bald man marvels at Ye Bei's strength despite him not yet having awakened, assuming that Ye Bei must also be a formidable